Today we'll discuss human circulatory system. So in this video we'll see what is circulatory system, what is double circuit, and what are the components of the circulatory system. We will see different types of blood vessels, and we will look into tissue fluid and how it's made, and we will see how substances are exchanged between blood and the tissues of the body. The circulatory system is also known as cardiovascular system or simply vascular system. This is an organ system that permits blood to circulate and transport nutrients and waste materials to and from the cells in the body to provide nourishment, help in fighting diseases, and stabilize temperature and pH, and also it helps to maintain homeostasis. So if we see the components of circulatory system, it consists of heart, blood vessels, and blood. Heart, it pumps blood through the blood vessels to reach different parts of the body. And this blood, it transports respiratory gases, products of digestion, metabolic waste, and hormones. So this diagram is showing heart and different blood vessels. So red color is showing the arteries, and the blue color it is showing the veins, and this is heart. So heart, there are actually two circuits. So circuit 1, it transports deoxygenated blood from heart to the lungs, so that here as we breathe in we're taking in oxygen. So this oxygen, it binds to the hemoglobin in the blood, and blood is getting oxygen here. So oxygenated blood, it is coming back into the heart. So this is circuit 1, where blood leaving the heart and coming back to the heart again. And in the second circuit, or circuit 2, this blood, which is oxygenated now, this is transported to the different parts of the body. And these are showing the different arteries that are providing oxygenated blood to different organs. For example, this is the renal artery that is providing oxygenated blood to kidneys, and here the blue color is showing the vein. These veins, these are collecting deoxygenated blood, and these are dumping it back into the heart. So this is the diagram of heart. Heart has its own blood supply as well. So this is the left and right coronary arteries. These arteries, they provide nutrients to the heart muscles as well. So now we will discuss different types of blood vessels. So there are different types actually. These are arteries, veins, capillaries, arterioles. So all these different types of the blood vessel, they have different characteristics and they perform different functions. First of all, we'll discuss about artery. So arteries, they carry blood from heart to distribute to different parts of the body. So they carry oxygenated blood. So if we see the cross section, the arteries, they have very thick walls, and these are very muscular, and they have elastic tissues. These elastic tissues, these can stretch and recoil as the heart beats. So this actually helps to maintain high blood pressure. As you can see, the inner endothelium, it has folds. These foldings, they can stretch when heart beats. So, and two together, these two things, the elastic tissue here and the foldings, these can stretch. So both of these structures, these are helping in the maintenance of the high blood pressure when heart beats. And all arteries, they carry oxygenated blood, except for the pulmonary artery, as you can see here. So this is the pulmonary artery. This is transporting deoxygenated blood from heart to the lungs, and here it is getting oxygen, and from here the oxygenated blood comes back to the heart, and then it is distributed to the rest of the body. So arteries, they divide into smaller branches, and these smaller branches that are coming from the artery, these are known as arterioles. Arterioles, they make kind of network throughout the body, and they have muscles in them, and these muscles, they can contract and they can relax. When these muscles contract, they restrict the flow of blood, and when they relax, they allow full blood flow to the different parts of the body on the demand. Now we'll discuss about veins. Veins, they carry blood towards the heart under low blood pressure, as you can see here. So these are the arteries, these are taking blood away from heart, and these veins are taking blood towards the heart under low pressure. So they have, if you see this is the vein, they have wider lumen. So lumen is the inner hollow space as compared to the equivalent artery. So this is the lumen of artery, and this is lumen of vein. And they also have very little or thin muscular tissue as compared to the artery. Veins, they have valves. These valves, they help, can't go backward because of these valves. So the movement of the blood within the vein, it is helped by the contraction of the body muscles that surround them. All veins, they carry deoxygenated blood towards the heart, as you can see here, except for the pulmonary vein that carries oxygenated blood from the lungs back to the heart. So now we'll discuss about capillary. So arteries, they divide into smaller tubes. These are known as arterioles. So when arterioles, they further divide, they make even smaller tubes, and these are known as capillaries. These are the smallest of the blood vessels. And these capillaries, these are actually the places where the exchange of material is taking place, and the substances, these are exchanged between the capillaries and the surrounding body tissues. So these are well adapted to perform this function. So these are lots of capillaries, and so many network of the capillaries is known as capillary bed. So here is the single capillary. So this capillary is well adapted to perform its function of exchange of materials. As you can see that these have only endothelium, one single layer of endothelium, and this endothelium is just made up of one layer of cells. It means that they are very thin. So this thin layer, it provides short diffusion pathway. And these capillaries, these are normally very close to the cells around the exchange tissue. So again, these help to provide a short diffusion pathway. There's large number of capillaries surrounding the exchange tissue, and this is actually increasing the surface area for the process of gas exchange. So if we see near the arteriole, this, and if we see this part in a big view, we see that these cells are surrounded by the capillary like this. So this is the bigger view of the part near the arteriole end. So the tissue fluid is actually a fluid that surrounds the cell in a tissue. So these are the cells, these are representing a tissue. And how it's made, these tissue fluid, it's made from the small molecules that leave the blood plasma and they come here. For example, nutrients, oxygen, and water. Unlike blood, which contains blood cells and some big proteins, the tissue fluid, it doesn't have blood cells or larger proteins, because these are too large to be pushed out through this capillary walls. and the exchange of material, or we can say that this fluid comes here only because of the pressure filtration, because pressure here in the capillary it is high as compared to the pressure in the tissue fluid. So because of the difference of pressure, this fluid is coming into the spaces between the cells. So once this tissue fluid it has come in between these cells or intercellular spaces, as this tissue fluid has nutrients, oxygen, and water and gases. So these cells they absorb these nutrients and gases into them, and the metabolic waste that these cells are producing, they release these metabolic waste into the tissue fluid. So here in the capillaries near the arteriole end, so hydrostatic pressure is greater than the hydrostatic pressure in the tissue fluid. So fluid it leaves the blood plasma and comes here. So going down from here, as the water is released into the tissue fluid, so here hydrostatic pressure within the capillaries it is decreasing now. So coming down here near the venule end, so water potential is lower in the and near the venules as compared to the water potential in the tissue fluid. So what happens, because of the difference in the water potential between the capillaries near the venule end and the tissue fluid, some of the water from the tissue fluid it re-enters into the capillaries by the process of osmosis. So this diagram it shows the part near the venule end. So as in the capillaries near the arterioles, and because of the high pressure of blood, the blood plasma, some of the blood plasma it leaves the capillaries and goes into the tissue fluid. So coming down here near the venule end, the capillaries they have low water potential and high potential is here. So for some of the water it re-enters into the blood plasma. So any excess tissue fluid is drained into lymphatic system, which transports this excess fluid from the tissues and dumps it back into the circulatory system. So this is all about the